Hey, Sherry.
Yeah, because
Hey, Sherry, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Hello,
You look like you're somewhere fun.
I am. I'm in Cabo.
Ugh, that's a lot better than Atlanta, where I am.
You're in Atlanta? Oh my gosh, what are you doing there?
I went to see a grandson's football game last night.
Oh, how fun is that?
So he's 13 and he played in his seventh grade football game. So,
Oh, that's so exciting. You're so good to support your grandchildren.
well, I don't get to too much, but I was able to do football and I was able to go to dance and go to grandparents' day today. So
Oh, that's wonderful.
I think I, at least did my job today. And now I can go back home and be back in the office tomorrow morning.
I'm excited. I got an invite to support my grandson at his favorite rock and roll band. I get to see Paul McCartney. So I'm excited.
Oh, fun.
Yeah,
That sounds like
in Atlanta.
tons of
So
fun.
I'll be in Atlanta too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I am just looking for where everyone else is, and I'm not quite sure where they are. There they come.
Here they are.
Very well. We'd like to welcome everybody to our
aquí está. So what? Vamos.
what's going on there. In the past, the commission hasn't started until after or we haven't gone through formalities until after the public hearings when we have them. We're going to start doing the public hearings within our commission meeting.
Okay.
Just kind of format thing, and for any of you who are interested in that. So we'd like to welcome everybody tonight. We have a couple items to consider in the public hearing, and then we have agenda items also. You're welcome, if you're here for a particular agenda item, you're welcome to leave after that's addressed, if you so choose, or you can stay through the end, whenever that happens. So we'll start by, Lori, would you offer an invocation for us? And John, would you lead us in a pledge? Okay, Lori?
You said Larry.
Yeah.
Okay. Our Father in heaven, we come before thee at the beginning of this planning commission meeting and ask thee to bless us with thy spirit. Please help us to have open minds and to make decisions that will best serve our community. We are grateful for the city and the people who lead it and the place where we live with the good neighbors and friends. And we ask thee that all those who come will be able to travel here safely and be able to return home safely. And we say this in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Thank you. Your audience, welcome to join us in pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you both. The next item on the agenda is approval of the August 2025 meeting minutes. Larry, I know you made a couple of corrections, but I couldn't.
They just show up automatically under that, the way it's sent out to us. I make a correction and
It's in there.
it's in there.
Okay.
Yeah, and they were just like commas, because when I bring it up, it says you've got two spaces here. Do you want two spaces? And if I say no, it fixes it.
Okay,
And spelling and the same thing.
okay. So that,
So the copy that Wayne has is corrected then?
If he printed it after
I didn't.
okay, then it wouldn't be corrected.
So,
But there was no correction as far as content or meaning. They were just,
there's a couple of spelling errors.
spelling, punctuation, capitalization, and things like that.
Okay, so how do we? I'm an old guy and not technically oriented.
So
How do
after
I pull that
everybody has
correction
made a
up?
comment, you just bring it up again, and it should already be corrected for printing.
Okay. All right. That being the case, and I didn't get any comments from anybody else. And if they're just spelling and punctuation.
I move that we approve the minutes as corrected by Larry.
Okay,
I'll second it.
very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Do that and mind you all to print that off again with those changes. We'll go into our public hearing portion of our meeting then. We've got 3 issues that were put out for public hearing. One, there are several changes to our ordinances. And so if any of you here present wish to comment, or any online, we'll take comments as well on these 3 issues. And then we'll close that public hearing and we'll move to our regular business discussion, which will involve dialogue amongst the planning commission of those areas, and we'll take a vote on 2 of them. And as we go into our business, we'll have an opportunity for public comment of anything that anybody wants to make for 2 minutes, if there are any, including those online. And then we'll go into our regular business items that we have to review tonight. So the first item for public hearing is the change that the city is making to its ordinance having to do with water requirements. In the past that we required a developer to bring water with them as they want to develop property in the city. They have to provide 0.90 acre feet of water for each lot that is going to be developed. We find that we have some excess water right now. And so we're changing our ordinance to allow
In terms of shares.
in terms of water shares. So we're going to provide a mechanism within our ordinance, within the new ordinance, that would allow a developer to acquire water from the city instead of bringing it into the city. They will have to pay a predetermined amount that will be in our fee schedule. And it will be competitive. We haven't determined that yet, but it will be competitive on what somebody might find on the open market. So that's what that code 8-5-1 is about with water requirements and policies. So being a land use issue, we have a public hearing on that and allow public comment. Those of you here, if you have any questions about it or any comment, we're certainly welcome to hearing those. If you want to come forward, this is our microphone and speaker up here. So if any of you have any comment, we'd invite you to come to the table and make that. Are there any here who have any questions or wish to comment about that? Yes. And would you come and state your name and,
The new mics don't require us to come up. Diana Sackett. I just
Okay.
have questions. Is there a problem with us retaining a little bit of excess water right as a
oh,
city? Is that,
we will. We won't get into a situation where we're lacking for water rights. We can monitor that. We can choose not to sell it if we choose, or we can, when I say sell it, we're exchanging it for a fee. So we will not short ourselves of water.
Wayne isn't always gonna be here to manage 90% of our city. So what words, what documentation will we have in place? So if someone else were to step in, because Wayne actually took a vacation or something and didn't have access to communication, the criteria for making that decision, I think, needs to be not just an obscurity.
Well, there's a requirement in this ordinance change that the water shares be obtained. So the person has to have water shares,
Right.
either bringing them in themselves or possibly obtaining them from the city. So the city would be very negligent if it sold water shares that were needed.
But what is that determination?
It's up
Is there
to,
criteria to make that?
it'll be up to whoever what we call them water superintendent, whoever the water person is over water. And as that goes forward, the planning commission will be looking at it. The mayor will be looking at that. So there's oversight
Okay.
given to that to make sure that we always have sufficient water for our own needs first, for those occupants of the city, before we start exchanging it to others coming in.
Now, the city would not be selling the shares to people outside of Woodland Hills, would they? They're
Correct.
just to lots in Woodland
Right,
Hills.
it's only for the city. So we're not gonna be going out and somebody in Payson needs a water right and selling them the water right. It's only as they come into the city, establish residency, building a home, that water right will be available to those individuals.
Is that more beneficial than leveraging with other cities within Utah? Because,
We can't do that.
oh,
The law prohibits that.
really?
Mhm.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Do we talked about how many shares the city currently has? Do we remember?
I don't have that
Is it
information on.
200
top
or
of my head.
300 range?
Yes. Additional
Right,
that
More than-
aren't.
that's just, that isn't being used and just is kind of dead weight. We do need a backup, just like she pointed out. What we have is much more than we need
That's
for
what our
that.
needs are.
And we could use that to work with our water system.
Correct. And that, by the way, to some degree is monitored by the State Division of Water Resources. So they monitor the water rights that cities have. And there's a report that we send to them every year with how much we're using, what our needs are, how much we're not using, so forth. So they monitor that in a sense as well. So, are there any questions online from any of those online to that? Okay, let's go ahead to the next item for public hearing. It's considering amending City Code 10-18-1 and 10-19. Let me give everybody some background on it. These have to do with initially accessory dwelling units, they're called. And it was a provision that we put into our ordinance and pursuant to state code that allowed somebody to build an apartment in their home to rent out. And those were called ADUs, accessory dwelling units. And those initially were restrictive to internal into that home. They could rent out to anybody if they wanted to rent out family or to anyone else, they could do that. Then, given a couple of years later, we were getting inquiries in the city about, what about if I want to have an accessory apartment? That's what they were called, which is a completely external unit to the home that could similarly be rented out. That accessory apartment needed to be, it had setbacks, just like a resident home might have. And then the state came along and said, well, accessory dwelling units can be external of the home as well. So it didn't put us in conflict, but it put us in a little bit of
Well, a gray area.
yeah, we were offering something that the state was offering, but with a different name. And there was some confusion about it. So what this ordinance does is clarify, we're clarifying our ordinance, and we're calling, still calling an accessory dwelling unit internal, an accessory dwelling unit external. And that seems to be the course that most of the cities have taken in terminology. So we've kind of followed suit to try to be less confusing. So what we changed our accessory apartment ordinance, retitled it accessory dwelling external. And we modified a few of the requirements. So that's what this ordinance does, is makes a distinction between an internal unit to the home or an external self-contained unit, like a mini home or something like of that nature. And clarified a few of the requirements for one or the other. Now, what this does, it helps to a degree with providing potentially affordable housing within our city, whether it's, again, to a family member or some occupant who comes in and wants to rent either of those two facilities for themselves. There's requirements that are in the ordinance that they have to abide by. And so that's what we're doing. We're kind of restating our external dwelling unit ordinance and adding a few caveats to that. So, and that the ordinance has been published, so I've been online for a couple of weeks. I don't know if any of you had a chance to look at it yet, but that's the essence of what that is. So I'd open it up. Are there any public comments or questions about that any of you have? Okay, we'll go online here. Are there any comments from online? Any of those are online about that ordinance? Okay, the commission, as I mentioned, will have a discussion about that as we close this public hearing. We'll be voting on that tonight. The last item in the public hearing is not for vote by us. It's a development agreement that is being worked on between the city and Three Bridges Development. And we have Larry Mylar here tonight with Three Bridges, who can answer any specific questions that any of you might have in going forward with this. We've had numerous meetings, and what this does is create a development understanding between the city and Three Bridges in the part of the property that's in our city. Most of all of Three Bridges is in Salem. But as you've all noticed, this pile of dirt down here, that's our city property, which we have given temporary approval for Three Bridges to store there until they're able to use it in their development. Their plans are eventually is to put housing in that area that will be connected somewhat to a golf course that they're putting here. Larry, is there you're welcome to make any comments you'd like on the development agreement, any things or issues? What the public has had is the first draft of that. And since then, there's been some changes that we and Three Bridges have made to it as we go forward, and eventually there'll be votes taken on it. Right now, we're just putting it out for any comment that the public might have or any questions that they have about things. But I'd give you the opportunity if there's any comments that you have.
Sure. Yeah, I'm happy to answer questions. That's really why I'm here, and I'm hoping that we surface some questions that we can address. But the essence of the agreement is there are things that the city can benefit from. There are things that we can benefit from. And so since we're so closely aligned geographically, we went through that list, and I think it started off as 6 items, it grew to 8 items, and we've kind of gone back and forth with what the city needs. I think the main thing that the city's, if that would be a need for the city, is a water tank. You need storage for water, because when you draw water, you don't have enough capacity in storage tanks to hold all the water that you could draw each day. So we're looking at building, it's part of this agreement, a 550,000 gallon tank on your property. And we think that will, according to Ted and all the information from the state and the new pump that's in and everything that has happened so far on the water in Woodland Hills, it's been told to us that that would be the capacity that would help. That'll cost about $1.5 million. And because our project is fairly large, we can pay for it out of our pocket. And the money is in the bank right now for that. So we're excited to help the city, and we're looking at coming off of the roundabout, doubling up or close to it, your mailbox capacity, because you're kind of at the end of your capacity right now. And so that's something that we can do while this is happening. And coming off the roundabout into our project on the west side, we won't have to come in down the hill where we have an access already. It doesn't make sense to have traffic, coming and sliding in the winter and all of that. So I think everyone's made the decision, including the county, that we would rather see the project access off of the roundabout. And if the city of Woodland Hills can get new mailboxes in the bargain, then that seemed like a good trade as well. So those are some of the things that there are others in the agreement. I hope anyone who has questions could point to something we could address if there are further questions, but there are a few other points that are in there. So,
all right, thank you. Yes, as this goes forward, there'll be, the council will be holding a public hearing on it too, and probably have maybe an updated development agreement that given time that they will be looking at, and open to public comments or questions. We had a meeting, council meeting a couple of weeks ago, and it was very productive. There were some comments made and some issues raised that we thought, well, that sounds pretty good. We hadn't thought about that. And we've since talked to our attorneys and putting some of that into place, as well as back with Three Bridges, and they've added some to what we originally discussed. We're looking at this as a win-win for both the city and Woodland Hills. But we need to remind everybody that the major and the bulk of this by far is in Salem. And Salem is the city that's controlling the overall development with Three Bridges. And we just have a part of it for that property that's in our city. And that's what our focus is and what we're dealing with. And one of the main things, as Larry has mentioned, is the water and working that out to mutual benefit of both us as well as Three Bridges. So with that being said, are there any questions that any of you who are here tonight have specifically about the Three Bridges development?
Yeah, I don't know how to raise my hand on Zoom anymore. Probably the update took it away. I have just a few comments. I did run the document through AI to see what the benefit was to the city. And the questions are, they're not really questions, they're just comments and things that I was thinking about regarding this proposed development agreement. I started from where we are now, meaning at the mailbox, we have electricity, we have water, we have parking, we have package lockers, we have a structure overhead, we have an entrance to the mailboxes that's off the roundabout that is not a right angle to the mailboxes. With the expansion of the county road on Woodland Hills Drive, how is that going to impact where we put the mailboxes? There's nothing in this proposed agreement that says where you're going to move or where the mailboxes are being proposed to be moved to. I've looked at the county plat and that's not going to work. Sorry, I'm trying to share, but it's not working. I'm in Mexico, so things are a little slow down here. I've looked at the county plat. The county owns part of the property just off the roundabout as you go towards the mailboxes. We own land. Three Bridges owns land. And the little strip of land that is west of Woodland Hills Drive going north is owned by, let's see, it's not Three Bridges. It is, I'm looking for it, sorry.
Thanks.
You're talking about north of 11200 Sherry? Or south?
Yes,
Yes, that's owned by another developer.
that's
Who-
Saratoga 262 LLC.
Yes,
That's actually also one of my companies, so we own that piece.
Well, it lists Alma E. and Ethel B. Rushton family as the partnership. It says you're the contact, Larry, but it doesn't say anything about, anyway, this is just my thinking and what I've been looking at. So the development agreement, if you are going to put the mailboxes on Saratoga 262 property, I would think needs to include their name as well.
no, the mailboxes will not be located there. The plan presently that's been discussed is to move them a little bit to the north in the same area location that they are currently located.
So on our property.
Yes, and Three Bridges may donate some of their property to us as well to fill that out so that there's sufficient room for parking, for doubling the size of our mailboxes, and providing for the roads to come in and out of the Three Bridges development.
So we would not be accessing off of Woodland Hills Drive, which is Salem, at a right angle?
We'll be accessing similar to the way we access now,
Okay,
but with widened roads going back there. That design is being discussed now with the county. The county is going to be redoing the roundabout. That's their
Correct.
property. And they're going to redo it to accommodate added lane lengths along 11200. So
would Salem still be responsible for the added lanes that are coming like in 5 years? I'm just thinking about plowing, coming down the hill to go get my mail. I hit whatever roundabout is there, and am I gonna have to come to a complete stop, turn a right where Salem doesn't plow so good to get to the mailboxes?
no, that
Okay.
road to the mailboxes will come off of the roundabout.
Okay. Can we talk just a wee bit about the water tank? Where this tank is gonna be placed? Not the questions, these are the things that I've thought about, and I'm happy to email the whole planning commission the things that I've been just running through my mind. I'm not trying to pick the agreement apart.
No,
Who holds the right of warranty on the tank if Three Bridges is going to build it? How do you access construction? I would hope that it would not be up the water tank road that was just paved. That's an easement for water tank access and pedestrians for hiking. The city owns another piece of property that connects to Broad Hollow. That if that part of the city's property could be improved in the, not construction, the placement of the new holding tank, that would benefit the city. Yeah, that's all I had. You know, Wayne, do you know about that little piece of property?
yes,
Okay, the strip that runs up to the tanks from Broad Hollow.
yes.
Yeah, because where's all this dirt gonna be put? And it's not gonna be hauled out of the city, I hope. And like I say, these are just things that I've been thinking about and just wanted to share my thoughts with you.
Well, I appreciate that. If you want to send me that, we can further address them item by item uh, to the degree
Well,
that we
yeah.
know right now. But as to the water tank, some of those things are still in discussion with Three Bridges, but the general plan is to put the new tank in proximity to where the existing tank is. So from a feasibility standpoint, economical standpoint, a location that best serves the city from the tanks being there, from where our well is, all those things are being taken into consideration. And Three Bridges is very flexible. And the primary discussion we've had with them is that tank will be on city property. Exact location yet has not been finally determined. And that particular part is not in the development agreement. We don't think it needs to be in there. But there's an understanding that it'll be city controlled.
My suggestion, Wayne, is that it's in the agreement. We as a city, in my opinion, certainly don't want any haziness in our development agreements like we had with the gates in Summit Creek. If you can define everything concretely, it's easy to do in latitude and longitude, and put it in the agreement, and then there's no drama for the city or the developer.
I think it may be shared.
My other comment having to do with accessing from Broad Hollow. One, if we accessed from by Taylor's property there, would Three Bridges, or they should be responsible for repaving the road? Because we just went to the expense of paving it. And if we went from the Broad Hollow side, it would kill two birds with one stone, in that would give four-wheelers an access to the trail that would be, quotes, I don't want to say legal access, but not using the easement for pedestrians only that we're currently not adhering to. So that's all I have to say. Thanks for listening.
Hey,
I'm gonna go get
thank
some
you.
tacos.
Well, stick around. Thank you for your comments. We appreciate those.
You bet.
Anything, Larry, you want to?
No, I think those are good suggestions. I'm not opposed to having it figured out, the location. It's up to you guys. So we're kind of waiting. I know Ted had a preference at one time for where an old tank has been, take that out and put the new one in. There may be other locations that you're looking at, but we're happy to support your decision on that.
Okay, thank you. In my view, the waterworks will take precedent over not having an ATV trail that goes up somewhere. So whatever is best for the waterworks for the city, that's, I'm sure, where the city will look at to position that tank. So
Where does the trail go to? I'm curious.
Nowhere.
To the canyon? No, just up? Okay.
About halfway up. I don't know what that,
Wolfer Mountain. Wolfer Mountain.
Wolford, yeah.
Does it go up? There's a kind of a peak that halfway up, it's stone topped peak that's halfway up the mountain. Does it
I
go?
don't think it goes up that high.
Larry,
We'd
I
like to
can
put
send
a
you
trail
the
in
map.
there. We'd like to put a trail going up to that peak and make it so that Woodland Hills residents can access it. So that's a future plan, but.
Part of the property is ours and part of it is the state.
Yeah, so
So,
we own that part
Part
that
of
goes
that.
up to that, and that stone, we own that.
okay,
But as we come up with a trail up there, we'll put a trail in. I want to make sure Woodland Hills can access it too, so they can.
very good. There's a lot of interest in that in the city too, so it's good.
Question.
Yes, I'm sorry. Diane,
Diana Sapp again. I just wanted to.
can you come up so that this microphone can
We want you to get
pick you up?
The microphone's over here.
It picks up from here at City Council. I agree with Sherry about specifics. I think everything needs to be detailed in the agreement. Otherwise, we risk any kind of misunderstanding even, or assumptions, and we don't want to be relying on that. I think it should including, a cathode, I don't remember how to say it, titanium rod that is in place in the water tank. Needs to include what the foundation will be, access, thanks Sherry for bringing that up, what the access is gonna be, and because I know that has been a difficulty at times. I would like, as a city, to also consider what kind of security we want in place before it's even decided on specifics. We don't want vandalism. So, we need to decide, can we preempt that with, because didn't we put fencing around the other one to try to avoid teens reenacting previous? It'd be awesome if we could, have some kind of camera surveillance, because water is so important to us. And I'm just throwing out things to be considered in future of everything.
Certainly, and we have some of that now,
Awesome.
so
I thought.
we would not lessen what we have now for our security up there. I agree with you, that's primary. And we need to have what we need to ensure that that water isn't contaminated, is secure where it is and so forth, so.
Protecting our resources. I had another thing that we didn't talk about yet, and that is the water mitigation portion of the agreement. I have a lot of questions, but tonight's not for that. Water that we are responsible for runoff, that will be included in Three Bridges plan of their water.
The part that's going into their property, yes,
Yeah.
so.
Right, that's right, yeah, so I think we need to make sure that it is in writing and that Salem City signs off as well, that if there's a failure with that piece of some of our runoff, we aren't responsible because of this plan that Salem has agreed to. I just think we need to make sure that it's covered on both sides.
Agreed.
Okay,
Understand.
but in writing, documents that are secure legally.
Okay,
Thanks.
very good, thank you. Yes, sir, can you come up and state your name and?
My name is Don Selby, and I just had a couple of questions. I kind of read through the development agreement briefly that somebody had posted online. I'm not even sure that it's 100% the correct one. But a couple of my questions were, It says that there would be a minimum of 6 units per acre or 6 dwellings per acre on that 10-acre parcel down there.
Yes.
But it didn't seem to have a maximum other than at the discretion of the builder. I think that's a little open-ended and not an amount that could be built in that area. So if you're saying 6 units and that's what it is, then it should be not listed as the minimum amount with an open end on the maximum.
I think it says up to
Well,
6.
actually, we sent in a correction on that because it
Okay.
should have said no more than or
Up
up
to.
to.
Right, because the one that I read said,
Yeah, that was an earlier version and that was a typo. My staff didn't say it right. So we fixed it in the next draft.
another question I had was about, just simply about the post office being moved. Will that be constructed, completed and operational before the old one is torn down?
It will be.
Okay, and then, again, I did have a question about the storm drains as well that, she has raised. You know, is there a liability issue? Who's responsible for maintaining them? You know, like if you pay to put them in, but is Woodland Hills City responsible for making sure those storm drains stay open? And if they are, then does that make the liability, if they aren't open and we flood an area with those storm drains, is the city going to be sued consequently because of that? And I believe those are the only things that I had currently that I just kind of read through and glanced through.
So I question the storm drains on what?
So I'm assuming that the runoff water is going to be controlled. I'm assuming that that's probably going to be through catch basins,
Off on their property or
Yes.
on our property?
runoff from our property onto their property. Or even the runoff that comes down Woodland Hills onto the 10-acre parcel, which is Woodland Hills City. But if that's going to be a catch basin, is that going to be storm drains to maintain or to catch that runoff water? And if it's going to be storm drains, is there somebody that's going to be responsible for maintaining those storm drains? And if so, is it the developer? Is it the city? Who's responsible for that?
Larry, do you want to address that from
Yeah.
our discussions we've had?
Yeah, we already have to do it in Salem because we're taking storm drain and debris flow from the canyon right through our property. Luckily, we designed the golf course on that flat property, the alluvial fan that has been draining for who knows how many millions of years, I guess. But so the water coming off of Woodland Hills is going to join with the water coming down the canyon in that flat part. Luckily, it's a golf course there. And, you know, we don't have houses. So we already have to put detention basins all the way down. And that's yet to be designed, but it has to be designed to handle the flow from the canyon, which is the heavy flow.
Right.
So we're going to add capacity while we're doing that to accept your flow. And this is one of the benefits to the city, of course, Woodland Hills,
Sure.
because you don't have to pay the several $100,000 to control it before it hits our property. And so it just seemed like it's something we could do to be good neighbors and to be a part of this agreement. That you don't have to do it, but we're gonna have to already have basins along that flat part, the golf course coming down. We're gonna increase the capacity to handle your flow.
Okay.
Oh, very good. Thank you for your questions. Any other questions from? And Diane, if you have a lot of questions, I would invite you to list them out and we'll do our best to answer them and help you better understand. And maybe there's something there that we do need to give attention to that we haven't. But if you could communicate that to us, we'd be happy to respond to them.
Dwayne.
So, very good. Okay, with that in mind, then, we'll go ahead and conclude our public hearing and go into our business part. Are there any present here who would like to make any kind of public statement on anything you want to talk about for 2 minutes? Okay, very good. We'll go ahead then with our business tonight.
Wayne, may I be excused? Is there anything else you need me for tonight?
There really isn't, Larry.
Okay,
Thank you for coming. Appreciate it.
you're welcome. I was glad to hear the concerns and we can work them all out as we go. Thank you very much.
Very good. Thank you. Have a good evening. Okay, next business item is the water agreement, or not agreement, but one change in our water ordinance to, which will allow the city to exchange excess water shares that we have for a fee and provide that option. It won't be exclusive. Some people may bring water shares with them into the city, so it's just an option that
Realizing, of course, that they cannot be any water shares from anywhere. They have to be specific and approved by the state.
Yep, yep. And these ones that the city has now have been approved by the state for use in Woodland Hills. So,
And will we, under this, regularly review the current value of those shares so that we maintain a fair
yes,
relationship between the going rate? Yeah.
That's my really only question was, I know that water shares change a lot in value. How often do they change? Because, if we have
Every
a
time some
city
are
fee
sold.
schedule, do we list the exact price or does it just say market value?
no, well, I don't know. It's a good question. I'm not sure how that will be worded.
I guess we amend the city fee schedule
But
during the year if needed.
they've been pretty consistent for developers here.
Okay.
Now, when you get to other parts of the state and whatnot, there's some water rights up in northern Utah that go for $45,000 a share. And around here, it seems right now, ballpark $4,500 to $5,000 a share. So we'll somewhat follow that, I think. Yes.
I just got a question, sorry.
Can you identify yourself? Come on up, please. Sorry.
No, that's good. I'm Christy Burchett,
Okay.
and so I just came tonight because I have an application in for
Yes.
changing from R2 to R1, and I just didn't know if that was still coming or if that was,
We still got it on the agenda.
okay, I wasn't sure if it was on
I'm
the
sorry.
public part and I missed it.
There's an agenda right there if you want to
Oh.
take a copy of it.
Perfect, okay, I just wanted
You're
to
on
make
it.
sure that it was here somewhere. and-
Okay.
Down on items 12, 13, and 14.
Okay, perfect.
Appreciate you being here. Anyway, do you have another question?
Yeah, I'm sure I'm gonna look really stupid here. We talked about the value of, the cost of shares changes depending on the market. But because when we had irrigation in Salem, this is how it was. Your share it wasn't always the same amount of volume of water because depending on the water supply that year. So we're a little bit gambling thinking we might have this giant surplus because supposedly we don't have enough water still in spite of our record water last year. Eventually, our water shares just mean less water. That's what I'm getting at. Is that not true? Am I?
Well, there's a difference between culinary water and irrigation water. And the culinary is more of a value for the whole community to share in that consumption of that water. The challenge in Woodland Hills, of course, is we have no secondary water. It's all culinary water. And so related to that, if you use a lot of water in your yard, not for quote culinary purposes, but for your trees or your yard or or whatever, it is graduated on how much you pay, and it jumps up pretty darn
I
quickly.
happen
It's
to know that.
very expensive. So that's already covered with these shares
Yard, just.
because of your children, your family, your needs. And so, yeah, in secondary, I lived in a community for 30 years that had excellent secondary, but the secondary also have different levels or different rights. And where we lived out in Duchesne, Uintah County, the Indian rights took priority. And the community we lived in, actually, their water shares for secondary was an Indian filing. which meant that when the irrigation water became available, we got priority. And when it was time to shut down, we were the last to be shut down before the other 3 or 4 tiers. We don't deal with that in Woodland Hills. It's all with the culinary situation. I don't know if that helps or not.
Yeah, yeah, thank you.
But it's something that the city constantly monitors as to our water use. And again, we have excess right now, but if it reaches a point where we don't have excess, then we will retain what we have. We won't sell it. Quite a few years ago, we used to require 0.45 acre feet for a new home build. And as we did analysis, we determined that most homes were using more than that. And so we raised that to 0.90 acre feet. So that's what has to come into the city now for every new home that's built. So the city monitors that depending upon the use and how many shares we have that's been approved by Division of Water Resources and adjust things accordingly.
I see what you're asking though, how if we have a lot of shares and there's not very much water, you know, how when you divide it out among the shares, it's still not a lot. So they're always adjusting and seeing how many shares are required. And that's partially how an increased storage tank would help, wouldn't it?
Yes.
I mean, because Ted was telling me, and I hope I wrote this down right, that right now we're 60,000 gallons deficit on storage. Like we have water, but we don't have enough storage right now. We need that. And we need another 250,000 gallons to support our build out. And so Three Bridges giving us a tank would solve that without the citizens having to pay for it.
And what else is factored into those figures is the need if we have fire.
Mhm.
So that's taking into consideration as well. So a lot of parts of that.
I know it's, with the agreement with Three Bridges, there was a cost to them if they use the water, $1, I don't remember.
Per 1,000 gallons.
Yes, and I just need you to know that that is way too low. I pay $2. We don't water our lawn, maybe, I mean, you can tell it's all dead. We don't treat, the fruit trees are even dead. That's just people in my house showering once a week and lots of toilet flushing. But in just Utah County, the water costs are average $150 to $580. So I think we should reconsider that dollar value. At least maybe our citizens should get it cheaper than this, you know, big development. If, you know, when that comes to that. And I know it's probably minor.
But one thing we're going to build into that is a sliding scale upwards, depending on how long that lasts and inflationary costs and things like that. So we've talked about that since that was originally brought up. So I know we're not locked into that dollar, but there'll be a sliding scale. But your point, I think, is well made.
I went home after council meeting last week and I gotta find out what I pay. And I just like,
Yeah, we pay $1 per 1,000 gallons for the first 5,000 gallons. And then it goes up to $1.25 or $1.50 per 1,000 gallons for the next 15,000 gallons. Then it goes like
so if my usage averages
2,000 gallons.
No, $2.
per 1,000, $2 per 1,000 is is what it
Yeah, you-
averages out.
Yeah, you're using more.
So, okay.
Oh, and one interesting thing. In the city, most people use 1,000 to 2,000 gallons per month of water per person living in the home. So if you have 4 people in the home, you would use 4,000 to 8,000 gallons per month. That doesn't include outside watering. That's where it really increases.
Or if you have a daughter with Down syndrome who really loves to flush the toilet.
Yeah.
So correct me if my memory is failing me, but as I remember, the State Water Resources Board required us to put that sliding scale in when we were redoing the water system in order to pay the cost of the water system back, something along that line. And
To
that's where the initial $85 came from that we didn't have before. That all came part of the bond. I guess it was a
The
bond.
payback, yeah.
The payback of redoing the water system.
Yeah, we had to come up with a certain amount in our billing, and that qualified us for either a 0 or a low interest rate loan. Otherwise, we would have been charged a lot more.
Yeah.
So
Will, when that is paid off, will that go back down or will it always be the same?
it should go away unless, I'm sure there will be more needs. Replacing
Probably.
old pipes, I don't
Do
know.
more water system replacement.
Yeah, and there is more needed. The water system along Maple Canyon has got to be replaced, from what I understand it. And so that will be redone here at some timetable. I don't know what it is.
Do we know how long this bond was for?
Yes, but I
Is
don't
it
know
20
off the
years?
top of my head. It was, yeah, something like that. Probably by the time we pay it off, we'll need to start replacing.
Need a new one.
everything.
Need new water line. So, okay, any other discussion on that particular ordinance? If not, we'll take a vote on approving that. Somebody wants to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve City Code 8-5-1, water
Okay, the
requirements.
amendment, okay.
The amendment.
I'll second
Is there a
that.
second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We'll go on to the next item 10, then the amendment to our ADU ordinance that provides for both the internal and external ADU, the external being a detached building from the residence. Then you all got a copy of that, so I don't know if you have any other questions on it,
I do.
okay?
I know that there are some communities that have put size restrictions on external ADUs, where they have set like a minimum. I know the Springfield is 1,000 square feet. There is no maximum that they put. And I just wonder whether or not, how open we are to having, we say there can only be one ADU, right?
Yes.
External ADU. There can be an internal and an external, but only one external. And it has to be, I think, 20 feet away. Or did we say that? Did we take that out?
No, because
It's part of the accessory building.
yeah, it has to have the same standard as the other building,
Right,
main building does. And part of that for a new building then is 20 feet away from, and it has to meet the setbacks of the original residence and
Right.
so forth.
I guess the concern I have is that, are we opening ourselves up to people putting tiny homes on their lots that may be only 600 square feet? Is that all right? We never talked about the size anywhere in the ordinance.
Yeah, a minimum size. I'm trying to think if there's a state requirement limiting size either way, smaller or larger.
Yeah, I worry maybe that somebody's going to build an ADU twice as big as their house.
Most lots won't accommodate it.
Well, but
Some will.
some down in the lower part, the 2 acre lots certainly could accommodate it.
Yeah. and we've got a few 5-acre ones too. But there's only one that can be put on a lot, an external ADU. So there's a limit that way, but you're right, we haven't really addressed a minimum size for an external ADU. We don't have any limit on the internal as to size. Like if a person builds an internal and they want to live in the ADU and rent out their house there, they can. And some retired couples or someone who's a widower would choose to do that, to rent their house to the family and they live in the ADU they created for themselves.
And a lot of new couples do that as well.
Yeah.
Craig, if they could mute their microphone because we're picking up feedback online.
Yeah, can you microphone so we don't get feedback here, whoever Greg might be? That would be appreciated. What do you think about having a minimum
You know, I look at,
size?
I mean,
There's tiny homes that are
yeah,
over 1,000 feet too, so
yeah. But
you're
there are
not
some
gonna eliminate
very small.
quote unquote a
I mean, I
tiny.
look at my shop, you know, which is 600 square feet. And conceivably, it's big enough to be able to put, you know, to meet all the normal requirements that we would have on that kind of a building, you know, an ADU. And
What about setbacks
well, I mean, it's already meeting the setbacks.
for the house? Does it meet the house setbacks?
Well, it's only 15 feet from the side
Okay,
and 20 feet from the main house. What else do we have? And 30 feet from the back lot. Those are basically only three
front.
setbacks.
you've got a front setback too.
Well, you can't put it in the front yard anyway.
No, you're right. Be
The
put on
ADU has
sides.
to be behind the house.
Okay,
So, I mean, I
yeah,
could conceivably turn that
and
600.
I wouldn't see anything wrong with that.
Does a tiny house, would it require its own septic tank? Or sewer
Well,
connection?
well, sure. It's gonna have to have,
Yeah, I think we already talked about that.
Just the same as a home?
you're either gonna have to tie it in to the sewer, or if that lot is on septic, tie it into the septic and make sure that the county will decide that.
That's right.
Whether or not it has enough capacity to handle that ADU.
And we've had a couple where they're building not an ADU, but say a shop, and they want a toilet in it. And they've had to put a new septic in to accommodate that because the septic for the home was maxed out. And so, but that's the county that's making that determination.
Yeah.
So one other question, on these ADUs, what stops somebody from pulling a camper trailer behind their house and coming in
Because
an
we say
ADU?
you can't live in it. It already is in the ordinance.
Yeah, but on a lot of these tiny homes, they're on wheels.
But the
They call
wheels
them a
come
tiny
on.
home. And then, so it has to be on a permanent foundation of
Yeah.
some sort.
Yeah.
So someone could bring in technically not a camper trailer, a tiny home, pull the wheels off, set it on something, tie it down, and it's.
No, I
structured.
don't think the ordinance allows for that either, John. Let me take a quick look here. I think it said the camp trailer or something of that sort can't be used as a external ADU.
It's hard to know whether the citizens would appreciate that ability so that they can earn some extra income, or if we as a city don't want it. Because we don't want our neighbor to have someone living
I
in their
don't
backyard.
know that I really care, but I just wonder whether we ought to try to address it
Mhm.
in some way.
Yeah, I think it ought to be part of the ordinance. We really think about the size of it and things like that.
I don't think it can be too big, because don't we limit I guess
Setbacks.
setbacks and all that, except for the large lots, we
It
could.
depends on how big the lot is, you know.
Which is fair.
Yeah.
I actually know of a situation where the primary house is smaller than the ADU. And the lot's about an acre and a half, maybe. And they fit all the setbacks.
I'm not saying that.
And I didn't see, when I glanced through it, but I didn't read it thoroughly. It could be in there, but I didn't see anything that said you couldn't pull something in there unless it had a foundation, or we would cram them to be on a foundation and,
Yeah, I mean, there is a provision in the ordinance that says you can't have people living in a trailer.
Right.
You know,
It says must be constructed according to all city and other adopted building and fire code requirements.
okay, so it would need sprinklers, it would need, so that would eliminate that.
yeah.
So it doesn't specifically say it, but it would
Yeah,
eliminate that
yeah.
with the requirement.
Yeah.
I think if they can fit it on their lot, they should be able to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, their neighbors get upset, but if it's your property and you're meeting setback requirements.
I agree. It meets all the
So-
city ordinances.
Yeah,
We're not, so maybe what
Smaller.
I'm hearing is, we're probably not concerned about whether or not we ought to put a size limitation, a minimum or anything else. As long as it meets all of the international building code requirements and all that we need to have. Maybe we don't need to worry about it.
I can't see somebody building a 1,000-foot or under accessory apartment. I mean, the cost ratio would be almost prohibitive if to limit it to 1,000 square feet. And
Well, the 1,000 that I was talking about, that Spring Hill has, it's the minimum.
minimum, right, but I don't see anybody doing, I don't know. See somebody building 1,000, a 10 by 10, well, that's 100 square feet, so double that.
30 by 33,
You never
I just
say never.
Yeah, true,
20 by.
but again, is that something we should be concerned about?
I don't know if
20
it
by
matters.
80, 30 by 70.
See, if somebody wants to go to that expense, that's on them.
No,
30 by 70 is
Yeah.
2,100.
yeah. 20 by 80 would be 1,600. Right?
That's hard, man.
Change the math, maybe.
That's right.
That's why I said 30 by 33 or 20 by 50.
Yeah, that's 1,000.
Or 25 by 40.
depending on your lot size and shape and how you have to make it fit the
Or make
setbacks.
a triangle.
Yeah.
So were you a math teacher before you were a principal?
And after.
Yeah. Oh, all right. And we got two math teachers in here. And I was a math major and I flunked the math entrance. So.
Okay, any other discussion on it?
I vote
Okay, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt City Code 10-18-1 and 10-19.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm abstaining.
You're gonna abstain?
Yes.
Okay,
I need to study it some more to.
we won't be voting again.
Go to city
That's
council.
it,
Go to the
passed.
city council meeting until then, after he studies it, until the
Yeah,
city council.
Let me ask you, why did you abstain?
I used to abstain when I was on the city council. That's fine, mayor.
pray, live with it.
Yeah, no, that's not all right. Wait a minute, I'm.
8, aren't we on 8?
We're in 11.
Oh, no. we're on 11.
I got mixed up here. If I'm on the water one, Lori and Severin
Correct.
motioned that. Then on the one we just been talking about,
John. And Lori.
okay, all right. Mary messed me up there.
I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Won't be the last.
Okay, next item. Do any of you have any thoughts or comments you want to add to the development agreement process? And it's going on now. There's been back and forth between our attorneys and their attorneys, and I think we're getting to almost a final stage with it. There's been a few, not necessarily revisions. For example, the one thing that was brought up here was this $1 for 1,000 gallons. We've agreed to have that as sliding scale upwards depending upon inflation and other needs. So that's the kind of tweaking that's going on.
And I noticed in, when the lawyers had gotten involved, that the salt shed was nowhere in that original one that I can see.
Correct, but it's in the second one.
Yes.
That it will be considered later.
Okay,
So
yeah.
that's the wording of that. So we didn't forget about it and leave it aside. It's just it will be discussed later out and may be added to the development agreement depending upon, there's just a lot of uncertainty with that right now.
Does Three Bridges want that area where the salt shed is?
Yes.
Yes, they do. And so in that case, what we may ask them to do is build the salt shed somewhere else.
Well, that's what was discussed, that somewhere else is nowhere to be found right now.
Okay,
So there's some discussion about maybe sharing it or enlarging it. Again, it will be on their dime if we do that, but we kind of hit an impasse with that right now.
one thing that I thought about as I read over the development agreement is relating to no more than 6 parcels per acre. We need to then fix our zoning regulation to add another zone, because 6 per an acre is between 7 and 8,000 square feet. We don't have a zone that covers that. So we will need to add a zone like an R6. We've got R19, which is 19,000 minimum, and we'd have to have an R6 or an R7. No, R7 won't work. Because it's between 7 and 8.
There's a couple of ways of doing that. It can be done with a development agreement, with going through the approval process of the planning commission and the city or the council. Or we can craft a separate ordinance to put that in place so that can be used. But it can be done with the development agreement as well. So that's
So I
under
just
consideration.
think we need, if we're gonna have a zone, then we ought to define what the zone is. Whether it's add to our ordinances like we have, we've got R19 for 4 seasons. And we've got R19s for Summit with the overlay, in the overlay. And so we've defined where we can have those R19s. So I think we would define then where we have an R6,
Yes.
which would be in that
Be
10
limited to
acre
that
parcel that's part of the
Three Bridges
Three
area.
Bridges and in Woodland Hills.
And when I think of the city getting property tax instead of having possibly 10 homes down there to 50 or 60, that really excites me as
Yeah, it'd be significant.
depositing those property tax checks.
But you're right, so we'll move forward to
We
that.
just need to put it somewhere.
Yeah. So,
Will those be public or private roads around those properties?
I don't think they're planning on any private roads there. The golf course might have some, but nothing. I don't see where
Because if
they.
that's Woodland Hills, we're gonna be responsible for keeping the streets clean in the wintertime.
And that's still up for discussion. We may take over all of Three Bridges for snow removal. It's possible that hasn't been worked out or discussed yet. Summit Creek is talking to us about taking over all of their snow removal.
Well,
Even
the
the
snow
private
removal
roads.
up there is going to take twice as much money and effort at a time as the snow removal down
Yeah,
in the valley.
because the volume of snow up there and, yeah. So it's
I mean, given
to be negotiated.
it's personal opinion, given how slow Salem is to clear the roads.
Yeah,
I think that Three Bridges would be well advised to contract with us to get it done.
I don't know if we presently have the necessary additions. Do, yeah.
Don't we?
Right now,
Yeah.
That's something we'll have to explore and see. So,
Uh-oh,
okay,
candidate is in the room.
so good comments. I'll try to keep you all informed as things move forward with that as well. So. Okay. Let's take up the recommended zone change for Mountain Vale Way. If you want to come and let us know what your druthers are, we've got a copy of your application. So
Okay, do I need to
the
say my
floor is
name
yours.
again?
Yes, please do.
Okay, Christy Burchett. And yeah, my address is Mountainville Way. And so I am just trying to rezone from R2 to R1 so that I can sell that other piece of property that is just to the east of where my home is. So it's like along the road as well. So it wouldn't be hard to access or anything, but I just have a property and would like to sell an acre of it and keep an acre of it. So,
Would you subdivide it before you sold it?
yeah, that was.
What we're looking for is a zone change. You're looking for a zone change, but nothing about a subdivision yet.
So I have talked to surveyor about doing the subdivision.
Okay.
So, but he said the first step was the zone change.
Yes.
And then once that's approved, then I could work on the subdivision.
So you'd want to get an approved second lot there and then sell it as the lot having already been subdivided from your lot.
Right.
Okay.
And that will also incur another water share, correct?
It will.
Which you could buy from the city? Is that right then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wherever you want.
So would be rezoning your current lot and the new lot would be.
Each of,
Each of them would be the R19.
no, it's
Just this
R1.
lot.
She's looking
Or
for.
R1, I'm sorry.
So
It's an R2 now.
that's a question I had for you.
And so would
Steve.
your current home be an R1 as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, in just looking at the aerial view of your property, it looks like your house is not all on your, would be 1 acre. It looks like it extends over a little bit into, it's past half of the size of the lot. That's just eyeballing a aerial image of things. And given that, then I'm wondering in my mind, if you divide it right down the middle and have equal size 2 lots, you may run into difficulties because part of your home will go over a little bit from that acre. Now, there's a little room, there's a little fudge room there that you could still make an acre out of, I think, out of the lot that you're not on, and make your lot just a little bit bigger, but you still have to have an acre of this new lot that you're wanting to create. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, so I haven't, I guess that's the next step with the surveyor. I thought that my house was far over enough that there would be an acre to the side, because I have, I think, 1.2 something acres. But possibly it's not, so possibly that's something I need to look into first.
Okay,
Before you go to the expense.
another thing is your setbacks. You need to allow for those setbacks on your lot as well as the new lot that we're potentially creating. So I'm not sure if the setbacks are 15 feet, 20 feet, but I think they're different between 1 acre lot and a 2 acre lot. So you would need to make sure now that you've got setbacks in the 1 acre category sufficient for each of those 2 lots. So that's another thing a surveyor is gonna tell you, because whoever's gonna buy that second lot is gonna need to abide by the 1 acre setbacks, whatever they are. And you will need to abide as you divide the lot, you'll need to have the division abiding by that same setback. Because you're now a 1 acre lot. Where before you were a 2 acre lot that had different setbacks.
Okay.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, so the space between the 2 houses and then the space from the road and from the back property and.
Yes,
Sorry.
those
Okay.
need to be, so that somebody comes in there and they're gonna be bound by the setbacks for whatever zone that lot is in. If you're changing it now wanting to change it to 1 acre, if that's approved, then your setbacks need to be accordingly. As well as your lot, because now you're an acre lot and you need to have the same setbacks different from when the house was constructed in order to meet that 1 acre requirement.
Okay.
And in R1 and R2, the front setback is 50 feet. And the back setback is 30 feet. And I can't remember about the side, I think it's 15 in R1.
30.
Is it 30 in R1?
Yeah.
That's gonna make it really tough. Because when you separate it, you're gonna have to basically construct the building envelope. So 50 feet from the front, 30 feet from the back, 20 feet from each side is where they would have to put their house. And your house that existed would have to be in that same building envelope. And if it's not, you're gonna have to move it. You know, and sometimes we've seen taking an R2 and developing 2 R1s where they'll have a property line that zigzags in order to get at least an acre in each one.
Okay.
And that's possible to do it that way too. But the setbacks will run along whatever those
Okay.
lot lines are.
So maybe I need to have the surveyor look at the map again and kind of draw where the 2 properties would be and make sure that the setbacks would work and that that they could have the full acre.
Yes.
You can go on the county property map and there is a wonderful little measurement tool that you can actually draw lines and figure out if it's possible to have 2 1-acre lots and meet the setbacks.
Okay, yeah, because just like looking at it and see, I mean, it looks big enough to me, but I have not measured it all out, so.
But yeah, on that tool, you can click and drag and it says how many feet. Or you can make a shape and it'll say how many acres.
Okay.
So it's
Yeah.
helpful. So you can see if you could somehow split it so that each one works with the setbacks and the 1 acre.
Okay, great. So as far as getting it approved, I would need to get that done first and then bring that in here showing.
For
exactly where-
subdivision. Now, if you wanna wait on this, we can table that for you, to give you a chance to review that further and see. Because, I mean, one possibility would be is to not go to a 1 acre lot, but to do an R119, which allows that second lot to be smaller.
So like it could be maybe a 0.75 or something.
Correct.
and the other one to be- So I would need to apply for a
R119
different
is
zoning.
a little over 1/2 acre.
Okay, so I would need to apply for a different zoning type if I
Yeah,
did that.
Correct.
So maybe I need to look.
The
at
other
that.
thing you need to consider is that there is a minimum frontage.
60 foot across the front. A lot needs to have at
You have
least,
a lot of frontage though.
but she has 370 feet frontage.
I don't think you'll have any trouble.
No,
with
not,
frontage.
not with the frontage, but again, I'm concerned a little bit with individual lot sizes of 1 acre
Right.
lots. So
Okay, yeah, it might be better to. apply
if you'd
for
like
this
for us to hold on that then and not take action on it till you further look at that, we can do it, or we can further consider it. It depends on you.
Okay, and what was it called, a 119, or
R119,
R119, which is
R119?
19,000 square feet,
Okay,
Smaller.
at least 19,000 square
Is
feet.
there any others on that street?
pardon?
Are there any other lot sizes on that street?
Yes,
Not R119.
yeah, there are.
No,
Either.
Up next to Dewey's, it is we just barely created it about 6 months ago.
She's on Mountain Vale.
Correct. So it is the Sky Lake property. Remember how we merged 2 lots on Sky Lake right there on the bend? And we carved off that back side as an R119.
Hmm.
So it's right across the street from I can't think tonight. Wilcox and Barnheisel's.
Okay.
That was the new R19 lot.
Yep.
But it was more than 19,000 because it was almost an acre.
But see that, if they need to, if their house crosses over and they don't have an acre to put in there, then the R119 would satisfy that, even if it's, like you say, 0.7 or 0.8 or even 0.9. The R119 gives you that flexibility to make that second lot smaller. And yours as well. That's the minimum size it can be. So it can be larger, but it can't be smaller than 19,000 square feet. So that might be an answer. And again, these are variables. There's no guarantee. We will review whatever you have and make a recommendation to the city council, who has the final say on it. So I don't want to give you any false impressions. We've had some zoning requests that have been denied by the council. And so it's hard, they all look at it maybe from different eyes and have different ideas on it. So, and there's no guarantee that this would pass either. So
we have been overruled before.
that is good to know.
As you're coming up with your plan, feel free to stop and visit Wayne here at the office and ask for advice. And
Yeah, we're glad to answer any questions that you might have, but I think that exact survey is gonna be helpful to you to know whether to continue down this road or to look for a different zone that would give you more flexibility in what you're wanting to do.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I'll have that one just hold then for now.
Okay, we'll just put it on hold for now then.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Sorry for the long wait and this. Very good. Next item on our list, Ben, is you. Zone change at 90 East Highland Drive.
Well, I don't know if it's for me, but I'm
No,
happy
you're
to answer any
representing-
questions.
Okay.
Well, I was actually just here because I thought, why not?
Your wife locked the doors or something?
No, actually, we were having young men's over at my house, and so I was with Diana's boys at my house, and so they were walking over here, so I thought I'd join them.
Oh, well, I didn't mean to put you on the spot here.
No, I'm happy to answer any questions I can. So in full disclosure, obviously I'll have to recuse myself from the planning or the city council vote on this. I'm the general on this project for the Wakefields. They have requested a rezone to R119 simply because of what we just talked about with Christie here. Those setbacks and their desire to add a third car garage. So we have two little triangles due to the way their house is positioned. Their garage is at about a 30%, a 30-degree tilt. And so adding that third car impedes on the front setback of the R1, which is 50 feet. Whereas the R119 pushes it to 30 feet. And then it impedes slightly onto the west side of that lot, into that area just a little bit because that's a 30-foot setback. Whereas we can get to a 15-foot setback with an R119. On the plat, Alan has requested that it be noted. So on the title even, that it's non-subdividable R119. Because they don't want, well, if you look at where the house is, they'd have to doze the house to subdivide it anyway. And then that just, the math wouldn't math for that, but he did want to make sure for the safety of his neighbors that it was clearly delineated on the plat, that it would not be able to be subdivided.
So the size will not change,
Correct.
just the designation.
It's purely for 5 feet in two directions.
His desire is to build a accessory building there and it's part of the
An addition.
addition onto the garage. And it doesn't have the space that he needs, given the current setbacks that he has with the zone. So if it were rezoned to R119, that would give him the setbacks in order to do the accessory building that he wants to do.
So how many feet away from his side lot will he be?
So
Within
it's 18.5 feet.
And this is, Alan's looked at it and Ben has too, and I agree. This isn't a variance, there isn't a variance option here because of what he wants to do. So that's the reason he's going a zone change avenue and not a variance avenue. It doesn't meet the variance criteria
Right.
in doing what he wants to do. So his only option is the R119. Yes, Diane?
I've studied this extensively. I don't think it meets criteria for zone change either, but we have an exception policy, and I do believe it's in our code. I do believe it's enact. Because it is not changing the neighboring usage. It's not, nor is it making a precedence. Now with this whole neighborhood can change lot by lot. I think special exception is the way to do this.
Thank you.
Do you have the code by chance you're referencing? That'd be great.
10-6-7, is that all you need, or is there something?
That'd be great, yeah, 10-6-7 will do it. Thank you.
So that's the idea behind this particular zone request. Alan has, again, as Ben stated, has agreed to this lot will not be subdivided. So, any questions?
Changing the size of the lot. We're just changing the zone so that the smaller setbacks would apply so that he can add the third garage.
Yeah, and I'm gonna dig into this ordinance that
Doesn't
Diana
make-
just,
Doesn't make any difference.
I'll dig into it anyway and see if that's another option for us.
Spot zoning.
I don't,
But spot zoning is what you're talking about. And spot zoning is not legal without really, I mean, almost as tight as variances are. It's,
Okay.
to me, it does not fit that rule, and it seems as though we maybe have been using that.
I'll be frank with you. I'm not sure I've read anything in our ordinances about spot zoning. You have?
Well, in Utah State Code,
It's not in our ordinance though.
but aren't we,
Yeah, well, let me look at
I
it.
have a difficult time with our ordinances searching, like.
Well, we go by our ordinances unless there's something in the state that says it's a violation to do that. Well, okay.
And we can proceed here,
Yes.
as to how you guys want to, whether you want to direct it to the council or not. And if I find something that it is in violation of state law that we are, beholden to,
Sure.
obviously, I swore my oath to uphold the federal and state laws and our ordinances, so
Well, we can make whatever conditions we want a recommendation to. So that can be included as part of the recommendation, providing it's not, if we go that way, it's not a state law to do so. So,
any other questions for me?
take a motion on that particular amendment change.
I approve that.
Second.
Subject to this.
To stakeholder that. Okay, for your,
Yep.
for your, okay. All right, Severin, all in favor? Any opposed? Change in our ordinance having to do with secondary driveways. Right now, our ordinance requires all driveways to be paved, either asphalt or cement. And we have quite a few people wanting to put second driveways in to get to the back of their house or for a number of reasons. So the suggestion was made to allow secondary driveways to be surfaced with gravel. And maintained so that, and that's the way the ordinance reads, so that weeds don't grow up and create a hazard, fire hazard if you're driving a car down that, but have it gravelled and maintained in a way that prevents weeds from growing up. This would be secondary driveways only. Primary driveways will still require to be paved and one way or another, as our ordinance says. So this only pertains to a secondary driveway.
Would the proposal also include that the secondary driveway had to meet setback requirements? Because if not, then I'm not sure I agree.
I'm not sure about that.
How
sir.
about culverts and all that?
A lot of places don't require culverts, but if it's going over a ditch, it'll need to have a culvert, a rock line ditch. Let me see. Here,
I don't
just a
like
minute.
it.
And what about the approach to the driveway when they're plowing? Are they gonna be able to, they gonna throw rock all over the place because the gravel comes clear to the road? You know?
They shouldn't because they're on a road right of way. The gravel should only extend to wherever the property line is. They wouldn't be putting gravel on.
So they would have it paved into the property, so the
No.
city's portion of the
They would have
approach.
It would be
just
dirt.
before they
Dirt.
gravel?
Yeah, dirt and then gravel. Otherwise, we get into issues with, well, even now, we require them to put pavement on city right of way, coming off the main drive. So
Yeah, but if it's dirt, then they're gonna attract mud.
that's
Onto the
possible.
gravel.
And that's, yep,
So are we doing this because people have dirt driveways anyway, and so this is one way of making them at least do gravel? Or are we going to?
that's
end
one
up
of the
with lots
problems we
gravel
have, is people
Driveways.
go ahead and do that, and then it's just dirt. Anyway, trying to alleviate some of that by allowing gravel. Do any of you have, I can't find, do any of you have, John, how does that, could you pull that up, all that stuff that I sent you, that ordinance was in there, and I'm not finding it here in my stuff.
I think that's the development agreement on the last one, right?
Yeah, it's after, I think after the development.
After the development agreement?
I'll be darned.
Here, let me keep going. Okay, there's that one.
Did any of you bring your packets with you, or is it all on your
Is it
computer?
right here, zone change? There's it.
I think it was may have been the very last thing that was in that packet that I sent you.
That's the last thing I have on my computer. This just gives the residents their on that.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember it either.
Well, maybe it's my error not including it then. That's why I can't find it in my packet.
Yeah, I don't think it's in here.
Okay. That's a good question. Let's not vote on it, but let's talk about it for a little bit and get your thoughts on it. If it's something that you think is worth pursuing or not. Given the parameters, say that a person can gravel a secondary driveway. We could require that a setback, they have to have the same setback as a primary, which is 20, well, it varies
Depends on the zone.
zone to zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you may or may not be aware of this. years ago, the reason they have this, and it's less, this 20-foot setback, and I know it's less for the R119 and the R119 with the overlay. But the idea behind the 20-foot one was people snow blowing snow on other people's property.
Yeah,
So, but that's kind of lost meaning, because as the zone changes, you've got minimum is 5.5 feet, and so that kind of goes out the window with the 20-foot quote unquote rule. So,
and I think he is smaller too.
yeah,
which
some
is
are
what
10
worried-
feet, some are 10 feet.
Worrying
Yeah,
about
yes.
PUD.
That might be a 10-foot driveway setback. I don't remember now.
I think it's probably about 10 foot. And I think my driveway is right at it.
Seems like the R119 is 7.5 feet. The overlay is 5 feet. I don't want to think that the PUD is 10 feet, but I'm not positive about that. Anyway, that's the more background with that.
I think it's worth having it gravel. Could be a fire break. We don't know, as long as it's maintained properly.
True.
The other thing that I just don't want to see it be gravel, and then when it hits city property, it's dirt and they're tracking out mud. Because that's, I mean,
So
that's the
is
reason
this-
we have our approaches on our driveways sloped down and everything else is for plowing.
Mhm.
So is this accessory drive come off of the main street or off of their existing?
Off the main street.
So
If it
it's like
comes off
a-
something existing inside, it's really not a driveway.
Right.
It's just whatever. But so it is coming off the main street.
Because a lot of the properties up there, 2-acre properties have a second or a third access road or path behind their property already.
Yeah,
Yeah, they do.
and it's dirt.
And it is dirt or pasture or just, I mean, I can think of dozens of them, literally, off of Schoolhouse Drive, off of Spring, up on.
Off of Woodland Hills Drive.
There you go. Yeah, a lot of the properties
Yeah, they're
there.
on the bottom end.
Yeah,
They've got a driveway going back to their tennis court.
Yeah.
There's a couple of rocks in it though.
And mud. And some of them have more than one that's dirt.
Yeah, if you got a big piece of property.
Yeah.
So this would partially address some of that. Right now, we don't, I mean, technically, they can be cited because they've got a driveway that's not paved. It's not
What
hard
if they
surface.
have just an opening, opening in your trees kind of, and
yeah, that's what I'm.
Yeah, is that
I don't know.
a driveway? I don't know.
Yeah.
I remember the big test up we had on Broad Hollow, where they wanted to take an R2 and make it an R1. And the people along Broad Hollow went ballistic because it was adding another driveway to Broad Hollow, and that would have been a paved one.
Was that an R1?
That was R119,
Yeah.
but 2 lots out of 1. Right now, there's 1 driveway, and now you add
Yeah,
you divide it in
you're
half.
adding another driveway.
Now you got
But what
another
we're
driveway.
doing, if we approve this, we're adding other driveways
Yeah.
onto that main thoroughfare.
In the most part, they're already there. They've put a little dirt road back. You're right. And we're trying to partially, I guess, address that by at least requiring, thinking that people will gravel it. They're not gonna pave it, probably, unless there's a garage that they're driving to back there, but chances are they're not even gonna do that if it's just kind of a secondary or place ATVs to put back in there. So
Well, the other question is how often is, in my mind, is how often is it going to be utilized? Because most of the ones that I've seen already on a lot of the streets up here, maybe 1, 2, 3 times a year, maybe they're hauling in a load of wood to put that part of
Yeah.
the yard or something similar. And so it's not really necessary, I think, to be paved or gravel. It's just a dirt track that's utilized sometimes out of necessity.
And I think that argument could be made. If you try to go in and fine them for that, you say it's not a driveway, it's just a little trail that's going back the back of the yard or whatever.
Just trying to get branches out of the backyard or something.
Yeah,
It's like someone in the city driving up on their lawn to take their new refrigerator in easier or something.
yeah.
I
just think it could be another pain in the neck to deal with.
More than the one now.
Bigger than the one we already have, yeah.
Think about the apron, or is that what it's called? How it's supposed to angle out and the slope and.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
good grief.
Yeah, if we look at it as a driveway, then that's the next thing. Does it have the radius on it,
Yeah.
you know, and is it sloped down so that
And the steepness of it.
and does the regular driveway have a culvert? So does this have to have a culvert as
Yeah.
well?
yeah. And so it may be best just to leave it alone.
Well,
Is it a
again, my
problem?
question,
We've left it
I think
alone
it looks
for
bad
50
also.
years now.
I would like them paved if they're gonna do a second driveway, pave it. That's my vote. Otherwise, we leave it alone.
well, I have to access my backyard sometimes, and I don't like to because I have to drive over the back grass, which
Yeah, over the
and-
grass, we've done that.
and so I mean, 2, 3 times a year, I have to go back there and do something. Maybe I'm gathering limbs for chipping or whatever. So I drive down there because it's a lot easier to load them onto the truck and bring them up to the road than it is to carry them 300 feet, each one at a time. So I would hate to have to gravel my lawn.
Almost pave it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But then I wouldn't have to because that goes off of my driveway already, so. But
Let's just leave it alone for now.
unless this one is being used, or
Pardon?
are there some that are being used an awful lot that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I think if somebody's, like if my neighbor were consistently parking on their dirt trail and using it all the time, then the process would be for me to complain and maybe they're required to pave what they're parking on or driving on all the time.
But then is it a driveway or is it a parking place?
yes.
Exactly, it is both.
Well, let's sleep on it for a year or two.
Yeah, that's,
Or at least a month.
Yeah. So. Okay, any other business?
No,
All right, take a motion.
Move that we adjourn.
Second that.
Okay. 8:52. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Very good. Kind of a busy night. Thanks, everybody, for
I like many of